most of your content looks like crap. I'm going to show you how to fix it, give you an eye for graphic design and how to actually make content for social media that looks attractive, is engaging, and doesn't basically break every rule of graphic design that makes people want to vomit, not go on your page, compare you to a garbage truck, or unfollow you entirely. Why? Because it barely looks like you're even trying. Let me give you an example. It's one of the most common things that I see with my male coaches, my male Trinity students who I coach. I'm going to go back in time and show you an example. This is a Trinity student, Clem. Now, this is back in the day. His content doesn't look like this. Now, this is just an example of unattractive, no eye for color palettes. And fair enough, because who teaches you this? Nobody. You often need a female in your life, or you just need to have some type of background in it in some capacity. And so the typography's off, the colors are wrong, it looks like shit, it doesn't look professional, you're a premium service. If I go on now Nike's page, you're gonna see the difference. And by the way, this is secondary to the quality of your content, by the way. I'm aware of this. But if you go to Nike's page, it has a feel, it has an energy. You want to be associated with the culture of their brand because it makes you feel something. And so that is some effort I've been putting into my page as well, in that giving consistent typography and consistent flavor and theme. And guess what? My shit used to not look good. It used to look bad. There's Clem. But you can see now that I have this grain. I use a certain LUT. It's grainy. It has a color palette. I've worked on it with videographers and content creators. And then I did the simple premium black and white. And then if I go back in time long enough, I had this orange accent. And then if I go back in time long enough, you're going to start to see something. You're going to see me use the white on the black. And then you're going to start to use the colorful captions, which did not look good. But consistency matters most. But I'm just showing you I've been where you are. And I used to do the yellow and the red and the black and the white. It just looked like trash. It just didn't look good. But, got nearly 100 likes when I only had like 1,000, 2,000 followers back when Instagram was popping for the algorithm. This is me doing Bakasana. So let me show you how to fix this now and how to actually make your content look beautiful, functional, and engaging. So I've gotten one of my Trinity students to help me out with some content, and Simone has created some for me. And she's done a decent job, but I'm going to show you some things that I would change to make it look a lot better. So previously there was just an image of me here training, and it didn't look on theme. It didn't look consistent with the thing that we were talking about. We're talking about nutrition here, and I'm going to show you where this is going to head, because why vitamins and minerals are so important. There was a training image like me of this, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. What's working well is the centering. It's left aligned. You want to make sure you keep it left aligned for people, because humans read left to right, so it's easier on the eyes. We have a main title, and the title and the text, here's the rule of graphic design and typography, to make it easy on the eyes, because you want to improve engagement, right? You want to improve readability. This isn't just aesthetic. This isn't the random made up information and opinion. This is, how do we get the human to engage with our content in the most efficient, effective, effortless way possible? That's a pleasant experience and gets them from the first post all the way to the last carousel post, so they can internalize the entire story that you're telling or lesson that you're imparting. Because if they only get halfway through, or don't even get through any of the way through, and you haven't stopped them in their tracks, then the hour or 2 hours you spent on your content is essentially wasted. So outside of the left alignment, rule number 2 is, whatever your title is, your subtext, your main paragraph text needs to be approximately 50% of the size of the main. So this is 65 and the description text is 30. So I've communicated this to her before. She's done a good job. What works quite well is when you have human faces and action shots. So that's what she's put in here, which is good, but it's not topical. Minerals and nutrition, yes, it's related to training in the way that it helps you train, but it's not directly what we're talking about. So thematically, contextually, it doesn't make as much sense. And I'm going to explain to you the statistical importance of actually using faces and portraits on your content because it has a meaningful increase in tap through rate. I'll show that later on in this video. The next thing I'll touch on here is elements and graphics. So Canva is great because you have a whole library of them. And guys, just pay for it. Don't be cheap. It's like $15, $20 a month, and you get much better functionality out of this experience to make better content to get more clients. Now, here is two examples. One is this quite attractive looking, simple line. It's like a line-based element. Whereas this one is a color-based element. Whatever you pick, you want to be consistent. It doesn't really matter if you change your branding like 7 times over the course of years. I have done that too. And you evolve, you change. Don't get married to it, and don't get so perfectionist where you spend hours and hours and hours and hours doing it. You're going to change it. It's going to evolve. But pick one and keep it consistent. So I'm not going to use this because the colors, it's too colorful. It pops too much. I don't like it. I want to keep this one. She's chosen really well and it pops really nicely. Click Control 1 and you're going to see your elements and you're going to be able to move them if you can't grab it. So now that pops more. Now you're going to see a lot of you are going to have images and it's going to be hard to read behind it. You're going to have that shortcut was Option 1 on your Mac. If you're not using a Mac, then it's the fastest laptop in the world outside of like Alienware. $10,000 laptop, so it's very, very good. So with the elements, with the images, you notice why isn't the background image so light? Where has it gone? See, let me show you a common mistake people make that makes it really hard for people to read their content. And that is it pops too much. There is too much color. There's too much brightness. Now, what she's done is she's created a black layer on the bottom, and then what you do is you just go elements and you just type in the color you want. So this will be black in this case. You typically do black. And then add transparency to your image. So you click on the transparency, and this is what it looks like if it's full, no transparency. This is the normal image, is what the normal image looks like. But it's hard to read the text. We're not trying to create just photos here. We're not trying to tell the story of the photos. We're trying to use the photos to highlight the story that we're trying to tell. And so this now really distracts. It's hard to read. If people find it hard to read, they'll flick off, they'll go to the next post, and they'll consistently find your content hard to read, so they won't engage with it. So you'll actually train your customer base, not even your customer base, you'll train your audience, non-followers and followers alike, to skip your content because they can't read it. So that's why we drop this down to somewhere between 30, 40 to 50. Now it's much easier to read and it's subtle. The image beneath it, it's still there, but it's not meant to be photorealistic with the colors and the brightness and the saturation. It's meant to, or the exposure, it's meant to just enhance, not drive. This image, don't do too much. If anything, take away. A lot of people put way too much in their posts. I used to do this as well. They put way too much. So right now, for example, we could separate these into 2 different carousel posts in of itself, as an example. Because it's not a crazy amount of text, I don't mind it being on the same page. But what I will do is to make it easier on the eyes, break up the text. Usually, you don't want to put big paragraphs on your pages because it can make it harder to read and it can make it immediately intimidating for the audience to actually consume it, because subconsciously, people think about the audience psychographic on Instagram. They're not typically there to read paragraphs of text. You have to kind of meet the audience psychographic where they're at. If they're on X, they're used to reading X threads. If they're on YouTube, they're used to watching 10 to 30 to 1 hour videos. If they're on Instagram, there's a degree of brevity that you need to consider. And that is, yes, at times do you break this rule? Of course. For example, in my last post, or one of my last posts, I broke this rule for a point. And the purpose was to tell a message. And I filtered out all the people who have attention spans of chickens, and I made a point instead. But at the same time, I go the other way as well. And this actually did quite well. This got 80, 90% non-followers following it and did nearly 10K. So this is the example of the opposite. So I'm catering and playing with both. And obviously these are my more artistic posts here, which are just driving awe and inspiration. Back to the post here. Okay, I wouldn't put any more than this. And if I could, I would separate this like this. So you now have the contrast. You want to make your background image contrast against itself. Another way to do that is you simply drop your image in. So you drag and drop it in. You go to your elements, you get your image, you go to your elements, you type in black, you grab it, it covers the whole image, just cover the whole image, then go to your transparent and then move it. It's usually quicker. You don't have to move two things at once because you noticed before we had two elements, we had the black and then we had to make the other image transparent. This time you just have to move one element and move it to be more transparent. And so that's what I will typically do. Now, why am I using my face here? I got a few different examples. I asked Simone, hey, can you try some different backgrounds? If we go on her page, we can see I quite liked her posts that she's been doing. She has vitamin B12. Me like that. Aesthetically beautiful. Great. It's clear. Vitamin B12. I don't know what's going to be inside vitamin B12, but vitamin B12. And she's going to get into it. Okay. And it's simple. It's quite nice. It gets to the point. There's no call to action at the end, which is a missing piece. There should always be a call to action at the end of your post saying, if you want some support with X, reach out to me. It doesn't have to be a call to action to your coaching. You're just trying to start conversations with everybody who engages with your post. If they made it all the way here, they might be in need of some support, but you lose them if you don't try and talk to them. And the description as well is very, very lazy. Like just B12, that's it. You should do a summary of the description or also have some type of call to action where people are like, hey, if you want to learn more about improving your energy and fatigue, let me know. If you want to know other brands I recommend, feel free to reach out to me and tag yourself. It takes just a minute to do, but as a result, you just lose people. And unfortunately, now, it's lazy. You just want to drive a call to action to give people a chance to reach out to you and learn more. Maybe she just, I don't know why you would do this. You put all the effort into the post and then some people read the description and then just see some emojis. Yeah, it just has no benefit. It's all downside. But this is very practical and very nice. Like off a call to action, I'd be like, hey, if you want some recipes, like feel free to reach out to me. And you just send them a recipe, like whatever you have fun doing. So have a call to action at the end of the post and in the description. And even like, wow, I don't want to get carried away here, but like amazing testimonial and no call to action. No call to action around if you're struggling with this, feel free to reach out. So you just lose clients, lose money, and life doesn't give you what you want. But it is quite nice looking. Like, oh, can you try some of that? And then she did. Oh, cool. I quite like this. And then I thought, hold on. Let me ask my friend GPT. Should I use I asked a question. I said, I'll say exactly what I asked it so you can see behind the scenes. I'm making an IG carousel post. This is my page. I'd sent some screenshots. I'm trying to decide with what background image to use. I've attached two examples of a background. I'm using myself, the nature of the leaf. What do you recommend and why? I feel the image of me isn't as relevant to the actual topic, but it's consistent with my brand. Plus, faces and people do better engagement. What do you think and recommend for my aesthetic and engagement? And then I'll just show you what it told me. Faces, 30 to 40% higher tap through on IG carousel covers. Keeps continuity with your feed grid because the past 9 posts are 70% portrait shots. I'm like, oh, cool. Didn't realize that. The coach speaking to the client in the gym, context visually reinforces authority over behavior change. Good point. So then it gave me some feedback and then some context on the pros and cons of doing one or the other. And I thought, okay, that's very logical. It's right. Portrait, faces, people, they definitely do better. I'm like, okay, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to find images of faces or people that represent concepts. Like, let's say B12. Like, oh, fuck, what do I do for B12? Well, you might sit there, actually, hold a supplement of B12 and take a photo or take a video and take a screenshot. Or it's you consuming food that's rich in B12 or just meat in general. With this example, we're talking about nutrient deficiencies. I found an image of Lockie, my Trinity X OG alumni. He's got a lot of acronyms going through. And notice how much I changed compared to the original typography here. So this looks good enough for some of you, but look at the difference in how much better this looks now. The weight change, the separation. I did about 6 different iterations. I didn't just get this straight out the box. I had to sit with this many, many times. So one thing that you guys are doing that I wouldn't generally recommend is keep a lot of line spacing between your lines. So there's a bit too much line spacing here. And so what I would do is not crowd it too much, but generally because it saves space. Because if we do really big line spacing, yeah, I'll do this one. If we do really big line spacing, let's just exaggerate it, then it starts to take up more real estate in the total image. Like people have to scroll their eyes longer to read it. Whereas if we keep it tighter, not too tight, you don't want to crowd it, but if we keep it a little bit tighter, generally go like the 1, then it can compact and sit in a more minimalist frame, in a more minimalist set. So that's one thing I changed that was very immediate to my eyes. The next thing is I like to do something a little bit different, kind of bending the rules of typography, is I'm not sentence casing my typography, my text. And I do that for aesthetic and ease of reading and branding. I'm quite inspired by this page right here called Champ Vision. I really love their storytelling and their typography and entire image. The inspiration that it draws and the creativity that it draws, okay? Now, they will play with different weights. See thickness there, bold in here, and it contrasts against the earlier text there. So this is one of many pages that I've taken inspiration from. I'll show you another one in a second. And you'll see there's a lot of different ways to do it. But this is, see I talk about a lot of text? But that's what they do. People know them for that. So if you're going to create something, like stick to it. But they do a variety here. It's quite a beautiful page. But at the end of the day, this is not how people consume content. They consume content within the Explore feed. So remember that. If they're on the Explore feed, I mean, they're not even here. They're on the phone scrolling. So it doesn't matter as much what your page looks like relative to the content of what's inside. But I'm just showing you some different examples of how you can play with all caps, lower caps, and how to contrast the powerful quote or the story and the message you're trying to say against the image. You want it to pop against it. So notice that these are darker images, which allows the white text to pop really well. Basically, they're all darker images, or they've put transparency on the image so it can pop more. These are great. These are really, really nice. And if we go to our friend Dave's page, now I got inspiration from Dave when I started. I looked at his page and I'm like, I really like how he does thick, big text. It's colorful, powerful images, but we love Dave, okay? The point is, this isn't a portrait. This is just, I don't know what that is. Looks like some type of organ or something, right? It looks consistent on his page, but it doesn't trigger the human to click on it as much as seeing a face. Like actually, there's a face right there, right? We know statistically that when people click on faces, people see faces, they're more likely to click on it. So with that being said, that's just some examples of why I would recommend use the face. And that's what I found. I found Lockie, and it's contextual because he's eating a donut, which is implied and inferred with a nutrient deficiency. So then what I did is I got ChatGPT and I asked it for feedback. Guys, use ChatGPT for feedback. And I went back and forth on it, and I'll show you what I said so it helped me. I said feedback, right? And it gave me great feedback. I'm using the O3 model, the latest model right now. Feedback on the I needed more black overlay. It said the eyes would zigzag if I separated it too much and I created too much separation. And then I changed it to this and I added a line, gave me more feedback there. You can pause it if you want to see the feedback. Change it again, it gave me feedback. Change it again, it gave me feedback. It took me like a few iterations there. And then I ended up with this. So I'm actively using GPT to help me create, and it's very, very insightful. It's made a decent or an okay looking image go from okay to like, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, credit to Simone because I didn't touch the hook. She did a really nice hook. Your clients aren't lazy. They are nutrient efficient. That's really good. Fix this, keep them. Great. I usually always touch the hooks. Didn't even touch that. It's one of the first times I've never done that. So great job for her. What's working here is we're emphasizing the main key point, nutrient deficient, the common belief at the top, and we've italicized the outcome or the behavior, which is lazy. And then we finished off at the bottom, fix this, keep them. So the benefit and outcome to the individual reading it with a slight arrow with a more stroke. Stroke is thickness to little subtle element to get them to keep going. What I made an effort to do that most of you may not even be aware of is I didn't have like the key, I didn't have it misplaced. So you don't want to put the individual and the portrait off center in any way, usually speaking. Usually, I could actually do that, but then it's only half his face and it's trying to be more artistic rather than functional and just well balanced. So I could put him there, right? And you think, oh, that's fine. No, but look, the feature image beneath is actually being covered by the text. So I purposely arrange the image so this central piece, you want to see two things. There's a feature image with the donut, and then there's the eyes. People connect with eyes. So you want to make sure the eyes are always a prominent part of the image and clear. What I actually ended up doing was, look how much I have actually zoomed in here. The original image size looks more like this, right? It's not as prominent, but I made it bigger. And that's, you want to crop in usually, but don't crowd the edges. That's another thing a lot of you make mistakes on, is your captions in your videos and your text crowd the edges. Why that's really important is because if you're on social media, let's go to my explore page and I click on, it's not going to work here, but if you're on the side here, right? Someone's on the side, shout out to Mike. I would definitely want to watch this. I'm tempted to click on it right now. If you're on the side, there's elements on the side and in the corner on Instagram. And so you want to make sure that it's not, especially on your reels, that you're not crowding the edges. Otherwise, your text will go over it and it'll be a little bit harder to read. I have done all lower caps. I have created more thickness with the main keyword in the top here. So what I'll do is how you can contrast them nicely is you go extra bold or you go a more thicker, bolder, and you contrast that with something lighter, which is usually half the weight. Extra bold, and in the middle, that's half. Do you see how it goes from the top here, and then this is the middle, and that would be like a quarter? So I'm not going all the way there, but if I wanted to contrast even further as like a subtitle, I might do a second subtitle as something light. But we don't want to crowd the feature image of the carousel too much. We don't need too many words. We just want to do the most with the least. But that's how you can play with different thickness, is you go, just like how our main title that we talked about here is double the weight of this, you also have the weight of the actual thickness of the typography in the font to be, this is double what's next to it. And that creates a contrast for the eyes so it can focus in and hone in on one particular word. So if I only had someone, think about billboards that you see. You guys got to think deeper about this. Is marketing. The graphic design about marketing is about getting seen, and you all want to get seen more, and you're competing on the highest level possible on social media for attention of people. So this is not to make things as just beautiful or aesthetic, it's to make things engaging. It's to grab attention, to reward all the efforts that you put in to making your content great. So this is how you do it. And as of making this video now, it is 1350 wide, 1350 tall by 1080 wide, and then you will be able to fill the entire, that's not actually filled right there. You'll be able to fill the entire image there on the post. Let's just clean up a couple more things here. So you can see actually, guys, I could see Sim was trying to play with this and make it stand out a little bit more and get a bit creative. My personal preference is I don't like generally speaking, the text separation. I only do it once, and that's with the Trinity logo. So what I'm just going to bring that letter spacing back to normal. Everyone needs vitamin and mineral supplements. I'm going to delete that element. Like I said, I don't love the colorful ones. This is good if you just want to make a quick statement. You want to make a quick statement? Everyone needs vitamins. Everyone needs supplements. So I can omit that and just be a little bit more succinct with my language here. Reduce that line spacing maybe a little bit. This is, oh, by the way, did you see what I did there with the symbol? I did this, is because this means approximately, right? This is me not being black and white and saying to the audience, technically everybody, because I don't like to speak in black and whites generally, unless I'm trying to incite emotion and drive behavior change away from people's self-limiting beliefs and behaviors that stop them from doing what they say they want to do because they've had trauma. Unless things like that. That's quite nice. See, we can say the same thing, but we're saying it in more briefly, more succinctly. And I'll probably make that extra bold and it contrasts well. That's coming off a little bit the edge there. I know because there's this there, but I accept that. Keep moving. Especially if you have, is there some line spacing there? So yeah, that's better. I want those 3 dots next to each other. I'm going to drop that lowercase there. You're just seeing me edit in real time, but notice this text is lower than this text now, so it's inconsistent. Can we get this a little bit higher? I know why she did that, because because it's a lot of words. So if I can just get it even a little bit, and then I roll that to the center. Can I do it one more? Yes, I can. Sorry, so we can actually get it. So if I can maintain that consistency without crowding the edges, that is something that I will want to do. And so now I have made some adjustments here after about 20 minutes, and I have actually removed the background images on the other slides. And why I've done that is because they weren't contextual, and the most main important image is to grab people in as the hook and then retain them there with the delivery of information, which doesn't need to be conflated or confused or distracted with images, not as necessary as bringing people in with an engaging image. This is what I've done. Now, you would have noticed I've actually added 3 slides here. Why did I do that? So I talked about, I've gone straight into the symptoms that people experience. So the coaches and the people looking at this can actually begin to relate to something practically. Okay, here's what an omega-3 deficiency looks like. Here's magnesium, here's iron. Now, why I started with that instead of hey, vitamin minerals are important, everybody needs them, here's a basic overview, is because it's a repeated sentiment that much of my audience may likely know already. Whereas the specific symptoms, specific deficiency symptoms, even seasoned coaches can do well by remembering or reminding themselves of some of the more common deficiency symptoms. And it's very practical. So I've gone straight into practical and value, and then we can talk about the overview of what a vitamin is. Now, I'm actually going to omit this. Let's do less with more. Keep it really simple. Definition, because we are kind of repeating ourselves anyway. If we define what a water and if we list a water and fat soluble, we get into that straight here. And so now we are straight into that basic overview. I've moved that diagram to the left to orientate it to the left. Minerals, that's okay for basic definitions. I've actually kept my image here because there's very little text and it's more of a statement piece. So that looks quite clean. Then, especially if you notice that I've actually omitted some of the previous ones here. You just want to speak about what's really relevant or most common to your audience. You don't need an exhaustive list. You're not here to actually present like an education masterclass. You just really want to list, I'll probably just actually delete that. You want to list the most common relevant ones, not necessarily an exhaustive list of you trying to be a perfectionist of being like, oh, I have to list all of them. No, you don't. Just because you list these doesn't mean you don't know the others or the others aren't important. It just means you're considering the eyeballs and the brain and the attention of the person in front of you. Then coming to the last call to action. Call to actions are so important because you've gotten someone's attention. What do you want to do with it now? Well, I'd like to help this person more. I'd like to help this person so much that they feel compelled and like I am and we have the solution to their problem in their life and career. Now, they won't think that unless I can probably start a conversation with them and talk to them. So that's what we're doing here. Now, one thing I'm going to change, Sim used my language quite appropriately, but actually not going to say unfuck your client's health. I've used it before, so they're used to it. And it's just not the sentiment and energy that I want to carry right now, at least for this post. And this is what I have changed it to. I have created contrast between the DM and list, which looks quite nicely contrasted against the me. And I've got rid of the italicized, and I also emphasized health nutrient tier list. That's not a quote. That should be like this. With top supplements. So you can see the contrast of like what's most important to read, what's the eyes engaging to. And Sim did a really good job. She actually put all these little white boxes here so you actually can't see. I actually might create some mystery here actually. I might delete a few just so it triggers some intrigue into what they may see. Like, oh, why did he put vitamin C as a D list? Why did he put iron as S list? A little bit of intrigue, right? Doesn't give it away at all, gives away some mystery, but it's quite good to create that mystery by hiding some of that. And so this is a live example. I'm going to post this right now. It's a live example of how you can make your graphic design, make your content creation, not just look more aesthetically pleasing and beautiful, but create a consistent brand image and feel. Pick the same font every time, basically. Pick the same colors, unless you want to change them ongoing, chronically. Make sure you maintain the principles that were covered in this in regards to alignment and weight changes and centering and formatting and doing more with less, not crowding, images, transparency, making it pop, CTAs at the end of your posts, using ChatGPT to also give you a really great alley-oop on helping you create content much more fast, much more effectively and expediently. So now the outcome of what here should happen is remember, the goal is to keep people in your ecosystem for longer, to be able to actually help them. You put an hour into making this content, well, don't flop on the last part with the call to action or with the initial image that gets them into the building. Put some effort into a hook and give them a reason of why they should stop for longer than a second and not go to the next person's post. Speaking of, if you want to know more, want to see more videos, there'll probably be a video somewhere here on my channel to watch something that will enlighten your soul.